And so what we're going to do is we're going to introduce ourselves, name, title, your organization, and please share a hope you have for dual enrollment in 2024. And so we'll start with Leslie.
Good morning, everybody. Leslie Wisdom, K-14 Technical Assistance Provider for the region. I work with the Regional Consortium. One of my hopes for 2024 is that our colleges take this opportunity that the Regional Consortium has given them with some funding to create strategic plans for dual enrollment, and working with all of you, if you're K-12 partners, in creating a very meaningful strategic plan that is actionable.
I love that. Mr. Gare.
Good morning, everyone. I was just writing that down. I want to make sure that my local college is accessing that funding. Jake Gare, proud principal here at Mount McGill High School, and we're looking to get the grant for early college high school, to become an early college high school, which we're about 1,500 students. So it's going to be uniquely Mount McGill when we get there, but the grant sure would help get us started. So we'll be applying here soon.
Be sure to reach out. I'm happy to read your application, give feedback. Antonio.
Well, hello all. My name is Antonio Gutierrez. Tony Gutierrez. I am the program manager for CTE at the Sweetwater District. I think my hope is to have our district and our community college reimagine what dual enrollment could look like throughout this next year and two more after that. We got the CCAP grant, so we're really trying to expand what we have available. But I think we have to have people be open to change. So I want that to be part of that conversation this year and next.
Jessica. We're
Hi
doing
there.
introduction. Yeah.
Okay. Hi there. My name is Jessica Spar. I work with the Sweetwater Union High School District. I am the TOSA for College and Career Readiness. And so one area of that I'd like to support in this year is identify school site needs to support the development of the CCAP to support the current pathways that they have at the school. So something additive to the programs that they have.
And Liz Cardenas.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Liz Cardenas, K-12 Pathway Coordinator for the Imperial Valley Community College region. My goal for dual enrollment is to support at least, a few of our high schools to apply for the dual enrollment grant this year.
Matthew.
Hey, everyone. My name is Matthew Kane. I'm over at San Diego Miramar College, where I'm a professor, but we recently received the grant with Sunny, and I'm the faculty coordinator for this. So I'll be working with our local partner high schools just to make sure everything goes smoothly. And I also teach at one of the high schools. I think the goal for me is to establish core sequences with the high schools, primarily with math and English, and then putting those in the program mappers. So like, I'll give you an example. Junior, senior year, maybe they take a math and English, and then senior year, they take an area where they're interested in, maybe pre-physical therapy or business or psych. That's my goal, is just to establish those core sequences. So every year it's just somewhat repetitive, so their students are ready and they understand the process and it gets around. So.
And looking at also identifying next steps in your CTE pathways in those programs.
Yeah, just giving a variety. And then, and another one is just to find consistent teachers that are willing to teach at the high schools. I think that's the biggest, not in my area, but collectively as a whole. I think most colleges, there's a little bit of trouble finding consistent teaching at the local high schools. So that's another goal.
Cynthia.
Good morning, everyone. Great to see you all. Happy New Year. Cynthia Nogura from Grossmont Cuyamaca Community College District, Director of Community and Workforce Partnerships. I would say resolution and hopes for 2024 would be constant and continual improvement in our processes and our procedures, in our relationship and how we can best support our CCAP partners.
Heidi?
Hello and good morning, everyone. Heidi Bergener here, K-12 Pathway Coordinator for the Southwestern Community College District in South Bay, and work closely with Antonio and Jessica. And my hopes and dreams for dual enrollment for our area is really to very similar to everybody else's, and that's really to have a strategic plan, build on our CTE pathways, and make sure that our students have equity and access to these courses. I know a lot of our districts around us have already delved into it and have a great model. And so really hoping to be able to mirror some of their work. And so we're really excited to move forward. And thank you. Glad to be here.
Matt?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Matt Udvarhaley. I am a counselor on special assignment in the Grossmont Union High School District. And I echo Cynthia because Grossmont Cuyamaca College is our partner. And I think we're both just working towards streamlining all of our processes and making sure things go smoother. And it seems like every semester they've gotten better. And so that's my goal for 2024 is just to keep getting better at these processes.
Wonderful. Mia?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Mia from Escondido Union High School District. I'm the Director of College and Career Readiness. For 2024, my goals for dual enrollment are to look at areas of expansion to high schools that don't offer dual enrollment this year, and also looking at what is the best intersect to support dual enrollment with career technical education and existing articulation agreements, and what and how could that look moving forward? Thank you.
Love that. Jamie?
Hi, good morning. Jamie Davenport. I am the K-12 coordinator with the K-16 collaborative grant. And my hopes for 2024 is we are working with Victor and the folks at IBC to hopefully launch or pilot a really cool dual enrollment. Sorry, my mind just totally student ambassador program that we're hoping to launch. We're not sure when, but hopefully in 2024. So.
And then you're going to come and tell us all about it.
We would love
to. Christine.
Hi, Christine Jensen. I'm the K-16 collaborative director. And I'm glad that Jamie mentioned it, though she kind of stole my thunder because I was going to brag about her awesome pilot program that she developed. And we're very excited to have that Victor's excited and Liz, and if we can roll this out in Imperial, and we'd love if there was a high school and community college that was interested in doing a very similar but smaller scale pilot with ambassadors at the high school, because Victor's is going to be at the community college level. So we are hoping that if someone is interested, they want to reach out to us because we'd love to pilot something like that.
And I would love to support a school that hasn't applied for the dual enrollment opportunities grant to integrate that into their planning, because if you're not sure what to do, that would be a good use of those funds, is to establish the planning and establishment of that program. Amy.
Good morning, Amy Pimentel, Career Education Pathways Coordinator at Maricosta College. Can I just share like a hope, big dream? Can I put it out into the universe?
Dream big.
Did the Chancellor's Office actually put some funding behind dual enrollment to actually grow it so we can purchase technology, hire people instead of burning everyone out? That is my hope. Putting it out into the universe.
From your mouth to God's ears, or the Chancellor's ears. Jennifer.
Good morning, everyone. Jennifer Finn, and I oversee dual enrollment here at Palomar College here in San Diego. Oh, I feel like this is a loaded question because what don't we want to do for 2024? But I think Palomar and our stance, we're looking at a strategic plan like many others are doing. I think Matthew was the one. I'll mirror his sentiments. We are looking at increasing courses. We're looking at hiring, hopefully more high school instructors that meet minimum quals. But in doing so, we're looking at FTEF and how to support that along with internal funding, because you can't have one without the other. So we're really looking at a lot of different things, different MOUs, etc. So, I mean, I think 2024 for Palomar is going to be a really inventive year for us.
Well, and the strategic plans, all of the colleges in our region are going to be working, and I'll be supporting the creation of a strategic plan. And I'm hoping all of our high school partners will have a voice in those plans. So it is really a time to think deeply. And so I'm really excited about that. Victor.
Good morning. Sorry if my mic's a little off. I'm trying a new system here, but good morning, Victor Torres. I'm the Associate Dean of Workforce Development and Non-Traditional Instruction at Imperial Valley College. Yeah, 2024 hopefully is a great year for us in dual enrollment. They mentioned the pilot program that we're excited to embark on with Christine and Jamie. We're actually really excited. We pitched the idea to superintendents right before the break, and I think they were all in that pilot program. So we're excited about that. Of course, it's always to increase enrollment, more classes, hire more faculty. Our president has called us to action to increase our high school graduates with at least 15 credits under their belt. And so that's kind of the overarching goal for our county, which is a little bit more than the chancellor's office. I think they're at 12 credits, if I remember correctly. But anyhow, and then starting some programs at 9th grade, doing a lot of CTE, dual enrollment, trying to beef that up and just create more opportunities for our students here locally. And implement some of the lithium programs through dual enrollment as well. So we're excited.
I love big dreams. Raquel.
Hi, my name is Raquel Perez. I just started as the K through 14 pathway counselor for Fallbrook Union High School District. So I'll be working with Dr. Luna, who's also in this meeting, and Jennifer at Palomar. We're working to try to increase participation in dual enrollment, trying to increase our classes. I really hope that we can do that this year. We're working on it this semester, but hopefully in the incoming school year, we can try to grow those programs just like everyone else. We would really like to have those resources for our students.
Welcome. We're so happy to have you here. Lynn.
Good morning, everybody. Lynn McConville, Director of Career Technical Education in the Poway Unified School District. I think my hopes are a little bit more simple than everybody else's because we are just starting dual enrollment in our district. My hopes include a successful implementation of dual enrollment with our partner community college, Palomar, at all 6 of our high schools for the 24-25 school year. And my singular focus is student success, student outcomes, so that we can help our young people in our region achieve both their college and career goals.
Wonderful. Allison.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Allison Fleck. I oversee the Early College Credit Program with Alta Schools. I just got back from maternity leave this week, so I am just catching up. Goals for 2024 is to survive. Just echoing the sentiments of what so many others have said is really allocating. We did get a grant, the CCAP grant. And so I would love to see that money, the funding go towards staffing. So folks aren't stretched so thin. So just having the right people to support the program.
Congratulations, boy or girl? I know everybody's curious.
It's a boy. His name's Miles. He'll be 5 months this weekend, actually. So I took a good amount of time off. It's a good time to come back.
We're so happy. Teresa.
Good morning, Teresa Collis with Oceanside Unified. I'm the CTE coordinator for our district. And I think, are we saying our New Year's resolution type of reply?
Hopes for dual enrollment in 2024.
Oh, well, I don't know that I can get it done in 2024, but to create a plan where dual enrollment is integrated as part of the students' a 4-year course of study. It is my ultimate goal, is instead of it being a cherry on top, it is an offering just like all the other courses for their 4-year plan.
Nice. Donnie.
Good morning. I just logged in. Donnie Tenori, I'm the K-12 Pathway Coordinator for San Diego Community College District. Alyssa, who's also works in my office, she oversees CCAP for our district. But we meet pretty regularly with our community college district, and some of the goals that we're working on right now is aligning our calendars, because this year, this year and next year, we're kind of moving our district's moving our calendar back. So we're going to start a little bit earlier, which means the community college district is going to be kind of ending right when we do, which makes for some problematic problems when it comes to turning in grades and things. So one of the things that we talked about yesterday was, how are we going to align our calendars? Are we going to have our dual enrollment classes start earlier in January for spring, for example, this year? And so that came up. So kind of aligning calendars. And then we have some goals around expanding dual enrollment for some subgroups. So working in collaboration with the community college districts, and how do we going to do more outreach to students who are underserved in these classes? And so those are kind of like our big goals this year that we are working on right now.
The calendar alignment thing, even across high schools in the same district, is tricky. And adding the colleges in, I'm really excited to see what happens with that, because I'm glad you're thinking about it. Matthew, did I miss you?
No, I introduced myself. I could do it again if you need me. Just let me know.
We had people coming in and it changes where people are, and then I start to second guess myself.
No, you're okay.
So excited. Like I love the energy that you all have around this work, and I'm really excited to see what we're all going to do in 2024, because it's complex, but we have amazing people thinking important things. For those of you who were at our last meeting, we had a presentation from Santa Ana High School and College. They shared some wonderful resources. I've highlighted those on the agenda in case you missed it. And I wondered if anybody had any reflection on what you learned from that presentation, or something that stood out for you. Well, this will be a very short part of the agenda, which is fine. I would encourage you, if you missed it, I'm going to be posting the recording. I'll send it out the end of the year, kind of snuck up on me, so I haven't done it yet. But I will be posting that, and you can watch the recording or check out the resources. Some of the things that the reason I invited them to present to you all is their level of collaboration and the pathways that they're creating. Their pathways, and I've got links to you. I've added links here to the slides that reference them. Each of them integrate both, they're thinking about articulation, dual enrollment, internships, and working with all the resources that they have to build really robust CTE pathways. And so you may find those interesting if that is an area that which is an area we're all working in. So I also wanted to remind you that there is a legislative one bill that came in that I've linked in the agenda, the chaptered legislation guidance report, which is very interesting. But AB 368 passed. It defines for the purpose of CCAP what underrepresented students are. And they say that underrepresented in higher education includes first-time college students, low-income students, students who are current or former foster youth, homeless students, students with disabilities, and students with dependent children. And I thought we could take a few minutes to talk about how this definition might impact your dual enrollment program. Will it help it? Will it cause you to expand your thinking? Will it expand the populations that you're focused on? How do you guys generally think about who you're going to work, what kind of student populations may not have access to dual enrollment currently? I'm always concerned with how we're, for example, with how we're engaging with our students with IEPs and 504 plans or with learning differences. I think that they tend to get left out of the conversation a little bit.
So Mallory, I think it's really interesting. I think first and foremost, like with this change, I think it's good. I think that we're already serving a lot of those different populations. So I think maybe it will help highlight at least in my district, the students that we're serving. But you mentioned students with 504s and IEPs and things things like that. And I think for me, the conversation needs to start with our counselors and the way that we individually identify who we personally believe is ready to take on coursework, through dual enrollment. I think that's great, but until I can help shift the mindsets of the people that actually support the enrollment in these courses, that I'm going to continue to be serving predominantly white students in my district.
I think you're exactly right that how we are educating and supporting counselors in offering these opportunities to students is really important, and raising up student supports that are available, and like connecting to our disability support centers. Other thoughts?
Mallory, I would like to share, I'm really grateful that the definition is being clarified, because I think that while most of us have a good concept of what underserved means, it really sort of highlights specific groups that perhaps we hadn't thought about or we hadn't had time to consider. And I think with equity being a huge area of focus, and which is all great, I think the tendency is to look at ethnic diversity and making sure that we're supporting ethnic groups, but there's so much more beyond that in terms of students that we could be and should be supporting.
Amy noted that it sounds like the same populations as Perkins, and I think that that's absolutely true. And you mentioned that this actually doesn't specifically pull out race. Probably because it's politically charged in our country right now, but I think, you know, the low socioeconomic, like a lot of them are crosses multiple things.
I'm just wondering, so on the college side, we rely on the students to self-identify as, homeless, formerly homeless, foster, formerly foster. If they fill out, a FAFSA or a DREAM Act application, they can identify whether or not they have dependents. So I know that there's homeless liaisons on the K-12 side, so it really sounds like going beyond, I mean, the race and ethnicity is absolutely important. And I think with all of that, like Teresa said, with all of the recruiting, we rely heavily on the K-12 counselors. But for these other groups where students are not self-identifying to us, like on the college level, when they fill out an application, it sounds like part of our conversations at the college level and with our K-12 partners needs to be like, how do you identify these populations, inviting whoever your foster or homeless point person is in the district to some meetings and conversations, like whoever it is and then the students that have dependents, that have children, I don't know, like, do K-12s have a way of knowing who those students are? I'm just curious, like, the big things, but breaking it down, how will we do this?
It's a really good question to our high school folks.
So if you're referring to like our homeless McKinney-Vento kiddos and like foster youth, I think for our experience is doing queries and with those codes to see if they're coded, but also how you mentioned speaking with our parent liaison, McKinney-Vento liaisons, foster youth, to kind of see where the kids are. And I think on our part, we're glad to have Raquel, because then we can kind of go through the kids' transcripts and see kind of where they're at, and maybe communicating with all those parties if they're potential students that could take dual enrollment, and finding what supports they're going to need, because those liaisons can also let us know the kiddo situation, like which of the students, maybe have major struggles they're dealing with when it comes to like our homeless kiddos, and then which are they themselves still striving and persevering and coming to school and they know can be gun-ho, and we just got to have that backup support to catch them in case of their incidents happen. But that's helped, and that's what we've been trying to work on right now, because I know that's an area of growth that we need to do for our district anyways.
And current or former, and so that knowing what their past experiences are. Antonio. You are muted.
Sorry, I said something really interesting too. No, I think in terms of the data, identifying those students is fairly easy. The question that comes up in my mind is, we could identify these students, but what are courses that they have been traditionally successful at the community college that we could offer at our high school spots? Because those would be the ones that I would like to promote to our counselors to try to get students into those, for those like students who may not be ready for the more challenging classes, but like the stepping stone classes, so they could get their feet wet. So, you know, that kind of got me thinking. I'm not sure what all those courses would be that would support them enough to be successful.
I think the counseling courses, the career exploration and study skills courses are often those courses, but you bring up a more important, broader point, which is part of our conversation has to be being really clear on what the requirements are in a given class. And I think that's a little harder to do, and totally worthy of being done.
I'm also wondering if, like, thinking about especially homeless and foster youth, like their location is not necessarily stable, right? So what are the, like, what will be the protections in place if a student is moved from one foster home to another and they're now at a different school and they can't take that class? So do we need to think about more online classes, or is there going to be something in place to where if they need to drop that class past deadlines, it's not going to negatively impact them, like the way that there's protections in place for our military? Like there's just so many nuances. Sorry, Mallory, I'm in the weeds. I did not get out of the weeds in 2024. But like it's like all these things happen and it's like, here's these big blanket statement, but like then it's like the how, all my wheels just start turning of like, how are we actually going to do this, and how do we properly identify these students? Like, so homeless foster might be a little easier, but how are we identifying the students with dependents, the students that are parents? Do you all have a way to do that on the K-12, or is it just like you kind of know through conversation, but it's not necessarily like collected anywhere? That sounds weird.
Or identifiers on their records. You know, I'm wondering, we were talking earlier about people had dreams for funding. And one of the areas where there is a lot of funding out of the chancellor's office is our Rising Scholars program. And a lot of the conversations that Amy identified as needing to be had about what happens when people move, when students move from one area to another, that is where a lot of those conversations are happening. So I'm wondering what we can learn from those conversations and those programs, because they really have to be down in the weeds, because they have all the high school rules, all the college rules, and the facility rules as well. And so they're working under even more things that they need to take into account. So there may be some wisdom coming our way from the work that's being done.
I'll also throw in the chat a flyer and registration link for a Students with Dependents Community of Practice online event happening on February 14th. So maybe that will be a space too that we can kind of get some ideas.
Oh, I appreciate you sharing that.
We work with Rising Scholars at Palomar pretty closely. In fact, myself and the Chancellor's Office, we spoke at CUCMC for one of the conference breakout sessions, and a lot of the work is boots on the ground. And I think that's really hard when it comes to Rising Scholars. We have San Pasqual Academy, which is foster youth, and we literally have someone at the high school level driving to sites. So if we have 50 students in a course, somebody is driving to the parent's location to get that signature, which I think with, the new legislation coming out and being able to roll the K-12s over, that's a great opportunity. But a lot of these individuals are really just have a passion for the work and doing that. What we do at Palomar is our last non-CCAP agreement, which is with San Pasqual Academy and JCCS. And what we do is since it's an online course, I think the professor, he's hired by us, does a Google course classroom, but the course is online. And so that way, if anyone leaves the foster system or if anyone leaves the jail site have set up technology resources for them to be able to take the course when they get out, because not everyone that is in the jail system is there for 3 months or 4 months, whatever the length of the course. So it really is the heart and the passion of the individual to do that work, which is really tiring and taxing, especially when they're not getting paid more for it. But that's something that we work closely with at Palomar.
Lynn?
So I just wanted to circle back. So Amy's question about students who are parents, at least in our district, Amy, we'll know who those students are if they've been part of our teen parent program. Also, we have a department in our district that serves our youth in transition and our Caring Connections program, which works with our students who are parents while they're in high school. So we do have a system in place to identify those students. And then I was hoping to circle back on Antonio's question about, which classes do students who, who are identified as special populations, where are they normally successful? And I think it's kind of a slippery slope to say that generally they do well in this class or that class. I think a lot of times it has to do with the faculty member that's supporting the students and making sure that, that faculty member knows how to work with students who have learning disabilities or who have barriers at home. So that's why we're advocating so strongly for more professional development around how to support students with from special populations. Last thing I'll say on that one is that, the other thing that I think our high school folks need to have better awareness of is the support systems at the community college that exist. So, again, when we're working with a high school student who hasn't, doesn't have that skill set yet to ask for help, to make sure they're taking advantage of the services that are offered, that the adults at the high school can really support students with those support systems. It may be, again, just going with them the first time, or so those are some thoughts on our end, just to make sure that we're truly supporting students for success.
So important. The update, the legislative change actually had a couple of other pieces, and we can move into that a little bit. It authorizes a community college district to allow a pupil in a CCAP agreement to enroll in up to a maximum of 15 units per term, which has always been in the legislation, in courses offered at the community college campus or the participating high school campus. And I read this one of two ways. One way that I read it was just reminding people that CCAP pathways can be on the college campus as open sections. You can use that, and particularly if you're geographically convenient. But it, I think, also may provide some insight that if a student is not successful in a course in the pathway, maybe drops it or withdraws, that they can continue that pathway and still be a CCAP student if they are in an open section on the community college campus. And I just wonder what you guys think of that piece of the legislation that they highlighted, and that was highlighted in the legislative, and whether or not that will make a difference for you. The last piece.
Palomar.
Oh,
Yeah, I
go
just
ahead,
think
Jennifer.
sometimes the things I think about is it blurs the lines a little bit with concurrent enrollment. And for our school, concurrent enrollment is separate. The students are on their own, they're taking individual courses, but the lines get a little blurred. We have 2 middle colleges, we have an early college, a second one coming on. And it kind of, again, it blurs the lines of a CCAP student that is taking a course, let's say at a high school, but then they decide to do the one-offs. And how many of those one-offs are there? And so it's just a little bit more work.
It would only be for courses that are defined in a CCAP pathway. And that is where the students are completing a defined sequence of classes, but I hear what you're saying. And particularly in the parents and students' minds, it creates some potential confusion.
We have a lot of pathways, like some schools are doing really fantastic work on pathways, like CTE, for instance. And a lot of those courses may be 5, like EME or HVAC. But when they're offered on our campus, right, they're open to the public. I have to create basically 2 section codes. It's a lot of manual work, and that's where the data gets a little disconfigured if you're not really looking at it. So it's a great opportunity. Don't get me wrong, it's just a lot of administrative work when it comes to also having them on our campuses, especially where we have so many of them.
I wonder how it will. I've often thought that it's a little problematic that we made these 2 separate dual enrollment paths. And I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to kind of think more holistically around dual enrollment. Like, I think we need to interrogate our processes in order to make dual enrollment clearer to everyone, including everyone on campus, parents, students, and all that sort of thing. So I wonder if this is an opportunity to kind of bring some of those things together. Maybe, maybe not. I think we're always, we're always trying to, this is an ongoing battle or an ongoing opportunity.
Yeah, in terms of like how I read it, how I interpret it, so they're saying essentially you could take 15 units per semester, per term. If you
in a CCAP pathway.
In a CCAP pathway. Now, with that being said, I'm all for, I mean, I'm obviously a college professor, so it's a little different, and I'm on the college side, but I just think there has to be a little bit more we have to be a little bit more realistic on what we expect from someone who is maybe 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, because it's not the same schedule. They're not in the same schedule as a college student, right? You go to college, you could go to school 3 times a week or twice a week and have 15 units. But I think for the high school students I serve in my college courses, I have to remember that they're going to school all day, every day. And I think that's another thing where, and going back to the number one is, it depends on the professor that you have in there, but also it depends on the 15 units they are taking. I mean, if you have a broader discipline, and I'm not saying it's easier, but a broader discipline is a little bit more manageable than let's say a microbiology class, right? So I think that's where you have to meet the student. I think 15 units per term could be a little bit of chaotic in a sense, but there are a few students, in my opinion, that can probably do it. I just think that I don't think we're there yet, but I think the high school and the college, you have to be on the same line in the same chapter. And I wouldn't say that we're all there yet, if that makes sense.
It does. With the 15 units, it has to do with developing CCAP pathways that are then provided to students. And that balance of work and how it fits into their high school schedule. I believe that if, Jennifer referred to their middle college programs, middle college or an early high school program are going to be the ones that are going to integrate the 15 units. If you have a full schedule of high school classes, you're not going to be taking 15 units on top of a full unit. It would have to be an early college program that is leveraging CCAP in order to meet their both high school requirements and college requirements. And the last piece that I pulled out of this, and you can read the whole thing, there's quite a bit there. It requires a district participating in a CCAP partnership agreement to assign priority for enrollment and course registration to a pupil seeking to enroll in a community college course that is required for the pupil CCAP partnership program that is equivalent to the priority assigned to a pupil attending middle college, high school. Essentially historically, there was a may and it became a shall. What it said, we could assign a higher priority. Now they're saying we must assign a higher priority. And I'm wondering what on your campus needs to change, and this is for colleges, to ensure correct priority enrollment status for students, and how many participants are under open enrollment. Matthew, your hand's up. I don't know if that was from last time.
Oh, no, yeah, it was from last time, but I'll answer it. So for our school anyway, I mean, I just got assigned to this role, but we have something called, CCAP obviously, and then MOU where they come to campus. And we save spots or assign priority enrollment in that sense. So, in our biology course, for example, we're working on it for because high school, I always make fun of them, but high schoolers, they do their schedule a year in advance, which I get, but it's really hard for colleges to do that. But for our biology classes that get filled very, very quickly because of just, pre-med or pre-physical therapy, we're saving seats for those students. So it's not necessarily priority for enrollment, but those seats are going to be saved. And then we create separate sections for them as long as the high school says that students are going to be present in those classes. So, I mean, I think if in my personal opinion, that has to be a priority, just because if you are going to try to build a partnership with your local high schools, you have to show them that you are going to give them something in return, right? You have to do what you're going to promise, and that's offer college courses to high school students. So that's how we do it from our end.
Other thoughts?
Well, we actually enroll the students at Maricosta. They don't enroll themselves. So I don't see that being, I mean, in terms of like for dual enrollment anyway, CCAP, dual enrollment. Concurrent enrollment, now that's going to be a question for A&R in terms of how they, identify the identifiers they put on students, and that the students who they open up, open up registration to on certain dates, just making sure that those students are part of the priority group where they should be.
Yeah, Amy, to add on to that, we manually enroll our students too. I'm just saying we for maybe our biology class where we save 10 seats, we'll get the 10 students from the high school, and then we have John in admissions who just manually enrolls them. Yeah, so it makes it easier on them, obviously.
Can I ask who does the enrollment? Do you guys have a team of people that do all the enrollments? Is it one person who manages all the enrollments for your CCAP students? And how many about are there?
We have two people. So Neil is the one that checks the rosters, and then and obviously the counselors give us a list from the high school that they're going to be in there. So Neil checks the rosters, makes sure they're accepted as a or they are a Miramar student, like fills out the application, and then John in admissions manually enrolls them. So we have two people, one checks in rosters and then one that enrolls. But they have like a, certain assistants around them that if they need help, they do it. But yeah.
I've worked with colleges that do both manual enrollment, which is what Matthew was describing, but that in Banner and some of the systems you can do a bulk enrollment. Now, here's the issue with bulk enrollment. Essentially, you have a file and you upload it and it enrolls them in the classes, all of them. But if there's any problem, like an application not on file, it'll kick it back. So it's easier because you're not doing every single step of the enrollment, but the file needs to be really clean. Victor was asking Matthew how you're able to save seats. Are your schedulers creating a shadow section with 10 seats, or what are they doing?
Gotcha. So yeah, so what we do is we just limit the cap on courses. So for example, the biology course, I think it's biology 132 and 133. Let's say we normally have 30 student cap. I'm just giving out a number. We'll put that down to 20. So that's how we do it.
So you add it behind the cap, essentially.
Exactly, yeah. So like if we know like if our high school says, hey, if like Mira Mesa is saying, hey, we're gonna have about 12 to 15 students, we know that for sure. We'll say 15, we'll lower the cap down by 15, and then we'll manually enroll those students once it happens.
And that is CCAP, right?
No, that's MOU. So that's what we label it. Yeah, so that's for like on-campus things. Now for let's just say we're teaching a nutrition class at Mira Mesa High School. We don't even show that to our Miramar students that are on campus. So we actually publish it for our faculty to see, and the high schools to see in our system, but no one can add that class.
Under the legislation, you are required to have it in your course listing.
It is in the course listing.
Right.
In the course listing. Yeah.
You scared me for a minute.
Yeah, no. So we just added a class midway through the year, and the high school's like, no, it's not in the course listing. But then someone from the high school's like, hey, it's in the course listing. Here it is. So it's all in the course listing and all that stuff. Yeah. Sorry to scare you. So that works for us.
Thank you, Matthew. I'm not sure if you're able to share, but a sample MOU is we have a different model. So our CCAP courses are mostly offered, or actually 100% offered on site on the high school campus. But we call not CCAP or concurrent enrollment. They're students coming from the high school to the college, but it's minimal. I think we average 50 students per term. We'd like to increase that, but having an MOU will allow us to be able to publicize that, right? For, hey, we have 10 slots in bio, send us your students. And that would be, if we can share a sample MOU, that'd be great.
Yeah. I can help you out there. So
I can also see a benefit to this in like, especially our CE courses that, we have specific labs, expensive equipment, that maybe a high school does not have the space, does not have the funding for that equipment. Being able to have those students come over to our campus and be in our, in our spaces. But from an equity perspective, I also, this is where my brain goes to, the lead, transportation, right? Like, we're talking about equity, we're talking about how our kids gonna get there. Are we going to be working together to provide transportation over to the college? What is that going to look like? And then thinking about high school kids' schedules, you know, their bell schedule compared to ours. There's just a lot in all of this to work out, which goes back to my hope of 24 that we get some funding to actually do this well, you know, to be able to work out all of these details. But I could see where that, because we have, I mean, one of the challenges that we have is with dual enrollment and expanding it, or a limitation is our high schools have limited space too. So, you know, this could be a solution in one way, but every solution also comes with some other challenges. There's no perfect, you know, fix. Maybe my 24 goal should have been to be optimistic.
I feel you there. With that, I think I'm going to move us to our, you may remember that we did a survey on what your interests were, and I've been pulling topics out of that survey list. And so today's hot topic is going to be how are schools integrating CCAP dual enrollment into their pathways. And we're thinking about, when I say pathways, I mean CCAP pathways, career technical education, general education pathways. And I put college readiness and high school graduation in a single. Those are two separate ones in the legislation, but I think they often go together in our course selections. And for each of these, I was hoping we could talk about, where do you see the opportunities? Where are the challenges or barriers? And when are you making each of these pathways the focus? And particularly for our high schoolers, our high school people, like, how are you choosing which of the focuses for each of your populations? And I know that's a lot of questions. You can answer any in any way you wish at any level of detail. But essentially, think about pathways and how are you doing it and what are you thinking about?
Mallory, I'll take a crack at this one because I think we're somewhat set up differently, I think, in many ways from other geographical areas. But in Imperial County, we have one community college and technically 7 high school districts, 8 comprehensive high schools, if I remember correctly, and a couple of community alternative schools. But we're reactive to their needs. So like if they have a pathway and we can connect with that pathway, then we're able to do a little bit more streamlined implementation. The challenge is
with pathway, like CTE pathways.
Yeah. The challenge also becomes when they have a pathway and we don't have a pathway, like culinary arts, for example. Several of our schools have a pathway in culinary arts, but we don't. And there's no intention on the college end to implement that because of multiple reasons, LMI, wages, et cetera, and the cost to the investment on a program like that is substantial, right? So that's an issue for us locally. It's a little bit easier when there's a pathway saying welding and we have a welding program, then we can play better or dance better together if you. And I'm not sure if anyone has issues with non-pathway options, right? Like within your programs. And one more thing. So we made it a point that if we don't have a pathway, a potential pathway, then that school's, we encourage them to seek out other opportunities for like articulation or or other options, right? Even dual enrollment options if possible.
So one of our plans over at Miramar, and that, is obviously it's still in its infancy. We're trying to create obviously pathways that align with our dual enrollment, right? Like if you talk about like general education pathways, math and English is something that you want everyone to take. But with that being said, what I think we're trying to do, and I'm just speaking for myself right now, but you guys are all familiar with the mapper, right? The program mapper. I helped lead that effort when we first started it. And what I think, could be a great idea is to have a CCAP section on the mapper. So for example, showing that maybe, for example, if you want to be in pre-physical therapy or kines, because we have a ton of pre-physical therapists, they can take certain courses that will align with our degree, right? So and no matter what, they're going to have to take those courses, whether they come to Miramar or they go to a different institution. So I think we're thinking about it like that, or if you do CT, it's different, but in terms of just pathways for certain types of the degrees, whether that's business or that's psychology or sociology or kinesiology, it doesn't really matter, as long as you're giving them those intro level courses that they can complete. So by the time they are a first year student in college, they already have their intro courses done for their major. And now they're in a good stepping stone, especially in the sciences. A lot of the times, sciences are 4 to 5 units and you can only take 2 a semester or you feel overwhelmed. But that's what we're trying to do. And then I really want to put it on the mapper, because when we do go to our partner high schools and we're in front of their parents and we're in front of the students, we can actually show them a visual of like, hey, you complete this course, you complete that course. Now you only have 54 units to complete to get your AA. And that AA will lead to a transfer degree. And then boom, 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 all those different things. So that's how we're doing it. Now, in terms of I think the biggest thing, and I think someone said this earlier today, it's from our end, in my opinion, from the college's end, in order for the class and the pathway to be successful, your faculty that are teaching those classes have to know who they're teaching. You could do the X's and O's all day, but if you don't have the right personnel in there, that's, the word college readiness, I think we put too much on the student, right? Sometimes it's the professor who needs to teach better or to improve their teaching style to meet the needs of the student population at the high school. And, some faculty will get mad that I say that, I don't care, but that's the honest truth, where it has to be both sides. It can't just be like, okay, college readiness of the student. Well, we have to make sure we're providing faculty that can teach that audience. So that's another thing that we focus on. And our chairs really focus on who we have teaching those classes. So
instructors.
Sorry, Mallory, I appreciate that, because from the high school perspective, we're changing how we do pedagogy down here. And it used to be a little bit of a mantra that college prep meant, when you get to college, you're going to sit in a lecture for 2 hours. So I'm preparing you for that in the high school level. And we're at Mount McGill and a lot of schools, we're shifting away from that into tables and group work and really good, solid pedagogy around learning and understanding and processing. So then when they get to college, again, at least they'll be motivated in the space of learning. But the professors, if they jump into it, if they can pick up the ball in that space, or even recognize, like, I have a high school senior who's immersed in this type of learning environment, and this, like, I can't be dramatically different from that. So those are the conversations that both schools need to be having.
You're so right. And I think that so many of the things that we teach instructors, about good pedagogy for high school students benefits all students. The fact that students can learn can be an environment and learn, they might learn more or prefer some of the more progressive pedagogical approaches. I'm going to be rolling out this year some supports, and I'm going to start with a survey that I'm going to ask you guys to share with all of your teachers, both high school sourced teachers and college sourced teachers, to try to create some supports and communities of practice for them. And so stay tuned for that. Other thoughts about how you're putting, how you're thinking about pathways and what high school students need and how you're creating those, or what would help you collaborate better with your partner, either at the high school or the community college, depending on which side you're coming from.
I have a question for other colleges that are in here, how they, I guess, combat this barrier or challenge. We struggle sometimes to get full-time faculty or experienced instructors into the high school classroom. I think one, because some of the faculty are a little bit intimidated because they haven't got the high schools. But I'm wondering what other colleges have done, because I'm very fortunate in our department. Myself and my colleague, we have nutrition in our department too as well. We both teach at the high school, so we've been teaching she's been teaching longer than I have, and we're experienced. But there's other departments. We have a lot of people that maybe aren't as experienced in teaching, sometimes going to the high schools. And sometimes that doesn't lead to the greatest teaching experience, not only for the instructor, but for the students. So I'm wondering how maybe the other colleges persuade someone who has a little bit more experience teaching to be willing to teach at the high schools, or they're even experiencing that challenge. So
that's a great question.
Well, I just joined, but I'll answer from Mesa College. I'm from Mesa College, and actually our district, and maybe some of your districts have that, we now pay, just starting this semester, our CCAP instructors 10% more for a class. So that's perhaps an incentive, but we have had very few full-time instructors teach in the program, in our CCAP program. I would say, I don't know, maybe it's fear, but I look at it, I think it's just more the hustle of driving to another location, trying to figure out parking, and they're odd scheduled. They don't go by our schedule.
Did Linda freeze or did I freeze? Linda froze. Can people hear me? Okay. What Linda was saying was very interesting. So a 10% uptick, I'm wondering how she got that, how that conversation went with her, how that conversation went with her unions. Because yeah, I'll have to follow up with her on the back end, or hopefully she'll return, because I think that it's an interesting question. Any other final thoughts on this topic? It's the beginning of the year, and I did want to. Oh, is that Linda? No, it's Matthew. Boy, we tossed a bunch of people out. I don't know what that was. Welcome back, Matthew.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. My internet in my office, I don't know, but can you summarize?
A bunch of people had a problem at the same
Oh,
moment.
really? Okay.
Must
I'm
have
not the
been,
only
it
one.
must have
All right,
been,
cool.
it must have been something.
Okay, cool.
I was just asking if there were any last thoughts, and then we were going to do updates.
Can you just summarize? I think Mesa, that's all I heard.
Oh, what I was saying was, Matt, I'm getting a prompt for you to enter again. That's weird. Mesa College, Linda was saying that they pay a 10% increase for CCAP, for teaching CCAP at the high school. And I was just wondering how that conversation went with their unions.
Are you doing it? Are we doing it this semester? Because we're in the same district. That's why I'm.
For college teachers going to the high school. I don't know, because she got kicked out. She froze.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she didn't say if it was last semester because we're in the same district. So that's why I'm confused because we're.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's
I'll ask Mesa.
follow up and we'll find
Yeah.
out. It's
But she
interesting.
said, I think I'm like in two spots.
Recording in progress.
But we'll follow up.
Yeah.
So, in our last few minutes, I wonder if anybody has any updates that they would like to share. I wanted to share that, if you haven't registered for the Dual Enrollment Equity Conference, it will be in Long Beach from February 20th to February 23rd. This was the one that was historically held in last year was held in Bakersfield. They are offering high school visits that you can opt into, which should be interesting because it's always interesting to see the on the ground work. Cynthia Nagura, Kathy Singer, and I will be presenting to highlight the work that Grossmont, Cuyamaca, and Helix have done together. And so you can come and support the home team that way. Anything else going on? I did put the information about that was shared in the any resource that was shared in the chat is now in the minutes for the on the agenda, and so you can find it there. So other things going on that you'd like to raise up? I may give you 10 minutes back in your day to grab a cup of coffee. Our next meeting will be in same bad time, same bad channel, in the second Wednesday in February. And I did have to move around my office hours a little bit because of the equity conference, because everything fell on that day. But I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.